Thanks for watching the video on stress fractures. And we've had a very good response to the video with thousands of views. And as a result of it, each of us have had quite a fair few questions regarding the content of the video. So we thought, rather than answering each person directly, these are 4 of the common questions we were asked in response to the video.
So we've got a few questions here. The first 2 are for yourself and 2 from the rehab perspective. So we've got, how do I reduce the risk of another stress fracture?
Yeah, so we've been asked this question a fair few times, in that if somebody has got a stress fracture and it's perhaps healed or healing, how do they reduce the risk of having another one? And the first thing is to do with the rehab, and it's progressing with the rehab slowly. A lot of people that have stress fractures are busy people who want to get back to going sports as soon as possible. And if you want to reduce the risk of having another one, you've got to progress slowly through the rehab. The second thing is to look at the cause of the stress fracture. So if it is that your mechanics aren't quite right in the foot and you're overloading a certain area, then it may be that you might need an insole to help to prevent having another stress fracture. And then the final point is that there are certain conditions that predispose people to having stress fractures. So especially there's something called the female triad. So in young, slim, athletic women, they can have hormonal imbalances that predispose them to having another stress fracture. They can have dietary imbalances that again can predispose to another stress fracture, or bone density problems. So you speak to your surgeon or you speak to your clinician, and it may be that you might need to have some blood tests done looking at hormone levels, looking at your dietary requirements, and looking at your bone density levels. And I think if you do all of those things, you should reduce your risk of having another stress fracture.
Perfect. And we've got a second question here. What are the surgical options if the fracture doesn't heal?
Yeah, well, the reassuring thing is the vast majority of the stress fractures, if we treat them properly initially, they'll heal up. So it's not unusual for them to take a little bit longer, and it's important for you during your early stages to nail your rest in the foot and make sure you try and keep off the foot as much as possible, because the more you do, the more it'll delay the fracture healing up. But a small number of these will go on not to heal up. That's often in the high demand, high impact individuals, and with certain positions of where the stress fracture is. So some of the stress fractures in the middle of the foot are prone to not healing up. And there's a specific little bone that's just in front of the ankle called the navicular that can sometimes not heal up. And in these rare cases, that we sometimes will consider doing a surgical procedure to try and heal this up. And that usually involves us fixing with plates or with screws, and maybe taking a little bit of bone from elsewhere in the foot to try and stimulate that to heal up. But that means that you'll be in plaster often for 4 to 6 weeks afterwards. And again, we'll need a period of rehabilitation until you get back to full activity once it's healed up.
Excellent, thank you.
Great, and then some questions that we've heard as well regarding the rehab is, as I said, a lot of people are very keen to get going as soon as possible, and they found your exercises that you suggested, Mehrdad, really, really helpful. But they asked me, how often should they be doing the exercises that you suggested?
So in terms of exercise, I always say you'll get given a few from your physiotherapy specialist, and always stick to 2 to 3. Don't overload yourself, and make sure you're setting yourself boundaries to also make them interesting as well. Because if you end up doing 5 to 6 exercises and you're just trying to do them to get them out of the way, that's not the right way. We want you to kind of focus on your exercises. We want you to pick 2 or 3 exercises. I always say pick the 2 or 3 that you enjoy or work the most, that you feel, and do them throughout the day, maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the day. It depends how quickly you want to get better. If the exercises are quite easy, then do them more, and you can always judge how you're progressing with the exercises the day after. If you're a bit sore, maybe go back to doing 2 exercises or reducing your sets and reps, and just playing around with how you do each exercise. But the key here is to do 2 to 3 exercises, I would say, as much as you can throughout the day. Set yourself reminders on your phone. Don't make it a chore. Make it enjoyable for yourself.
Brilliant. Very helpful.
And there's another one here that I think you probably asked quite a lot, Mehrdad, but it's, what sports can I perform after rehab, and how do I reintroduce the sports I want to go back to?
So basically with this, I get asked this a lot of the times. If the viewers kind of have a look at our previous presentation, at the end I describe how to kind of go from walking into running for most patients who want to get back to running. Also, other things you can do is swimming exercises. Being in the pool is great for your ankle, foot and ankle stability, as also your balance, because you're going to kind of get pressure from that resistance. You're going to have to engage your muscles differently. So if you have access to a pool, it's fantastic to get back into doing exercises in the pool. But again, focusing on specific stages of your rehab is, if it's getting back to playing football, you need to start maybe playing for 10, 15 minutes with your friends, nothing too competitive, and then increasing how often you play and how much of an intensity you play at. Maybe you're running as well. You want to start off with a light jog on a kind of smooth surface, easy kind of area to run with, not where there's too many people, and then make it challenging and kind of increase the intensity and make it more challenging while you go. So.
It's interesting that what always fascinates me is bone will strengthen itself. When you put more stress through a bone, it grows and it strengthens, and slowly but surely it becomes stronger. Mm-hmm. So you have a bone in a foot that's somebody who's a high performance athlete doing a lot of impact activity versus an astronaut who's just come down from outer space with no gravity. It's going to be, that bone is going to be much stronger because it's responded and built up related to the activity that's put through it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100% agree. And it's all about load. It's managing how much the client patient can take and just increasing the load as possible, because it's all about kind of increasing that resistance, getting your foot and ankle, your muscles, your whole joint stronger and stronger.
Are there specific sports that you would suggest to start off with if someone recovering? So for example, rowing or swimming or cross trainer, is there certain things people can be doing at the initial stages?
So cycling, static cycling in the gym or the static bike is also quite good. Cycling in general is quite useful, or just walking for long distances, walking uphill, downhill, and also at earlier stages when you want to kind of get a bit more confident with your foot and ankle, you want to make sure the foot and ankle is stable. Like say rowing, you're going to be strapped up in a position, and you're still going to kind of having to work your lower limb and your upper limb. And again, it's just building how much you could do. Some people may be able to do much more quickly. Some people may have to take their time with the exercises and getting back to sport gradually and trialing different sports. Maybe it's to do with what sports causes more issues with kind of pain levels, and giving everything a go.
Yeah. Great. Brilliant. Well, I hope that was helpful for everyone. And that was some of the common questions we were asked as people are recovering and getting over some of their stress fractures. And some of the contact details are on the screen there. And thanks for watching.